Hi, and welcome to the Game Factor. I'm your disembodied host, David Burns. Well, we weren't able to film a live segment for you this week, but we weren't going to let that stop the show. So, let's roll out like an Autobot to those new trailers. So for trailers this week, we've got a double dose of deuce for you. That's 2 sequels for 2 games that weren't as good as they should have been, but they got sequels nonetheless. So, the first one is for Prototype 2.
Alex Mercer, you killed my wife and my daughter. You turned me into this monster. Now you spread the virus, and you send your pets to kill me? Mercer!
It would have been quick, but now I'm gonna make you suffer.
Mayday! Mayday! We're getting torn up good! Grab hold of something!
So the first Prototype's biggest faults were that it was very monotonous, and the city itself was very boring to run around in. Reticle Entertainment has claimed that they've gone and fixed all this, as well as made the new character, James Heller, much faster and much more responsive of a character than Alex Mercer was. I'm only going to give Prototype 2 a rent status just because the first one really got boring really quick, and then it's possible that this one could too. So, for our next sequel, we have one for another game that had a lot of potential, but really boring execution. So here's a trailer for the sequel, Darksiders 2.
Before time was born, a bright kingdom was created for the angels, a dark realm for the demons, and a world for mankind. But war, rider of the apocalypse, destroyed the earth before its appointed hour. Or so it was claimed.
You have to follow the law, horseman.
To spare his brother from oblivion, the second horseman rode forth. And his name was Death. I see you, rider of death. You offer so little.
I have an offer in mind.
Is he the end of man, or the beginning?
Now, I remember playing the first Darksiders, and at first I thought it was an excellent mix between the formulas of The Legend of Zelda and God of War. Now, the only problem is, it only did both of those formulas really half-assed. Now, from the looks of it, they've made a lot of improvements with Death's animations and his attacks. He really does look like he moves much faster, and he's much more agile than War. So, I really have high hopes for this game because the first game had so much potential, but it just fell short midway through, and I could never get myself back into the game. So I'm going to give Darksiders 2 an impulse buy. Do you like sci-fi, fantasy, video games, and or anime? Then you need to be at GlitchCon 2011, September 9th through 11, being held in Bentonville, Arkansas, at the Doubletree Hotel, with guests like Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation, Ethan Phillips, Neelix from Star Trek Voyager, Peter Pixie, Grandmaster of Ceremonies, or the voice actor of Final Fantasy XIII Snow, Troy Baker, and steampunk group Airship Isabella. So remember, GlitchCon 2011, September 9th through 11, Bentonville, Arkansas, Doubletree Hotel. Be there!
So we give unto you our review of the Nintendo 3DS. What do we actually think of the system? So we'll start off with some of the good stuff. Good stuff is, it's very easy to navigate, much more user-friendly than previous DSs. That does make us happy. Other thing is the inclusion of the C-Stick. That's going to be a good and a bad right now, in my personal opinion. The good, also, graphics. They have made a huge jump in the graphics for this console, for this handheld. Take Legend of Zelda, for instance. The graphical updates on it are fantastic. Street Fighter 3D, another great game, looks awesome. Very, very powerful little handheld. Probably as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Wii itself. Okay, now, for some of the things I really don't like about the system. I'm going to go back to the C-Stick. It is a C-Stick and not an analog stick. So you don't have the quite response that you do with an actual analog stick. Next, this buddy right here, this power button. I do not like the power button right here, as that's the location of the start and select on my DSi. I do have a tendency of coming down there. Now, that for some people it's not really a huge deal because it doesn't instantly turn off, but it's not good placement in my personal opinion. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it a rating based off of two things. Is it something that you really need right now? Or is it something that you could probably wait? My opinion is, probably wait on this system. $250, yes, you can't play the new 3DS games unless you buy it. But right now, the catalog isn't anything impressive, so unless there's just something that you have to have, like I said earlier in the show, Ocarina of Time to me is not a system seller. It's a great game, everyone should play it, but it's not the system seller. They haven't put one out yet. There's a lot of good games coming, but again, not worth $250 to me yet. Now, for those that have already bought it, that's great. More power to you. Me, I'm going to wait because I have a feeling, Nintendo's track record tells me that within a year or two, there's going to be another variation of this system. Whether that be an improved 3D system, whether it be whatever, I don't know. So if I gave an actual game factor rating right now, I would have to give the 3DS a game factor of about an 8.5.
And now, to keep you guys up to date with everything that's going on in the video game world, time for our news. So we're going to start off with a little bit of news of video games in Hollywood. So, as many fans of the series know, there is a Mass Effect movie currently in the works, but unfortunately no one has any info on it. Well, it appears that Legendary Films, the studio which is making the film, will be debuting an early look of the movie at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Now, this early look will be hosted by BioWare's own Casey Hudson, who is also acting as an executive producer on the movie. Now, hopefully, they will release any footage that they show to the public after this event. Now, we aren't quite done with video game movie news just yet. I know that that's kind of a bad thing for some people, but it appears that action movie producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, he's behind movies such as G.I. Joe, Salt, has optioned Taito's classic space shooter, Space Invaders. He's also developing a movie based off of another old classic game from Atari, Asteroids. With that being said, we're not really expecting much from him because there really isn't anything there. We already have enough of these types of movies. I don't really see what they're going to do anything new with these. But now, since we are on the topic of classic video game history, it seems that 3 members of the digital press and also members of the Classic Gaming Expo are trying to raise money to open a video game history museum. John Hardy, Sean Kelly, and Joe Santulli have created a Kickstarter donation drive to raise the funds to open said museum. They have a lofty goal, such as obtaining every game for every system ever made, as well as promo materials. Now, that's going to be pretty hard since I'm pretty sure that a lot of that stuff doesn't exist anymore, but more power to them if they can. Their Kickstarter goal is $30,000, and at the time of this show, it has roughly around 40 more days to raise that money. So out this week we have Captain America, Super Soldier, Just Dance, Summer Party, Supreme Ruler, Cold War, Call of Juarez, The Cartel, The Smurfs, Dance Party. Not really the greatest disc-based game week. The only game I could really see possibly spending money on is Call of Juarez. So that's it for my disembodied episode. Next week I'll be back in front of the camera, hopefully. Be able to see you guys with my own eyes again. Actually, I can't really see you, but you can see me, so that's what really matters. But don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Leave us comments. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Tell us what you want to see, and tell us what you don't want to see. If you don't want to see me in front of the camera and just want to hear my beautiful voice, let us know. So, until next week, game over. Having played the first Death Spank and its sequel, I'm looking forward to how they but it's damn, 2 words off. Now, since it's a downloadable game and not disc-based, I can't really give it a pre-order bonus. No pre-order bonus, because I'm not GameStop.